come with 50 shillings, they get the card. And
Can they afford
yeah.
it?
So if
Probably.
others come and tell me
Yeah.
that for one consultation you should charge them 5,000, with the rent for 2 months.
And
Now you to choose whether you want this mental illness thing or a landlord up.
the thing is, mental health issues is
Uh,
subject to all. We
um,
all go from just even from the lower class to the middle
um,
class to the upper class. We are all no one is exempted, and one in
yeah,
every
sure,
four
sure.
individuals,
Mm,
by the way,
mm.
e-
Suffers from it.
either is going through a mental health struggle, or
Yes.
they went through a mental health struggle in the past, or
Mm,
there's a high probability that they will go through a mental health struggle in the future. Okay,
mm.
so one in every four. So the way we are seated here, so one of us, okay, is
It
going
is not
through.
me.
Of course, it is not you. That's how you write yourself. But ask yourself, hey, how is my life?
Probably. Anyway, also might be me.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is
The guy.
it's for everyone, and
Yeah.
it's not only it's probably people feel like it's associated with rich people,
Mm,
and
yeah.
just no, absolutely not, because also
Mm,
when you look at people from the lower ranked communities, like people who
mm,
are in poverty stricken areas,
mm,
and those people go through a lot every single day. There's a lot of trauma that they go through. Okay, some of
mm,
them don't have the right livelihood.
mm,
Some of them don't can't even like provide for their families. Some of
mm,
them live in war-stricken zones, and they're
mm.
not able to just live in peace. Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
um, it's quite unfortunate that there's so many people out here who can't access mental health care. All right,
Mm,
and that's why you'll
mm,
realize that there's so many individuals who are in the rural areas who could be
mm,
struggling with mental health issues, and
mm,
it's evident, people see that this person is not okay, but they're not able to access care because of either
mm.
the financial constraint,
Okay.
right, or the fact that maybe also they're not informed, okay, that this
Mm,
could actually be a mental health issue that
yeah,
this
sure.
person is having. You
Uh,
get it?
uh,
So that's why there's so many people who are undiagnosed. Okay,
uh,
we yes, you might find like there are so many people who are in the upper class who are diagnosed, maybe because they
mm.
can access the care, all right,
Yeah, yes, yes.
but ask yourself how many people are undiagnosed out there, okay,
Yeah.
who are living in environments that
Mm,
are excruciating, all right,
mm,
and like they can't be able to just live like normal human beings. Ask yourself
mm,
what are they going through, or how are they getting help, you know.
mm,
So it's a community conversation. It's not
mm,
about the rich, it's not about the poor, it's about
mm,
how we can just normalize this conversation
mm.
across the board.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think you also need to debunk this other one again. There's
yeah,
another myth again,
yeah,
that this mental illness thing is a superstition, and
yeah,
kina mtu jamaa amerogwa tu bana, peleke kanisa,
yeah, but you
mm.
see now, that's how we
Ama
used
mpeleke kwa mganga anaitwaje, Profesa Maji Baridi
that's
Loliondo.
that's how we used to perceive mental health issues in the past.
Mm,
Okay, that was the traditional perception of mental health
mm,
issues. It's either you've been um uh, uh, how can I put it? Either you've been possessed, all right,
yeah,
or sometimes
some
people
demons
say
and
people say maybe it's a curse. You get.
yeah,
So
yeah.
there is definitely. I'm not completely dismissing the fact that some mental health issues could be spiritual, all right, or could be
Okay,
it
okay.
could be this it could be complex. So you'll find a patient who you're treating them, you've managed them for a while, but the
Mm,
symptoms seem not to go away. So there could be
mm,
so many other facets to it, okay, which i'm
okay,
not i'm not completely dismissing, but I think
okay.
because also things are changing, all right,
Mm,
and of course new forms of medicines, and I
mm,
think the world is evolving, and I think
mm,
they're coming up with better ways of management of mental health
mm,
disorders or mental health challenges. I just feel
mm,
like also we need to evolve in our thinking, okay,
mm,
and be like, okay, let's be a bit open-minded. Could this
mm,
person also just benefit from treatment? Yeah,
mm.
maybe you can give it a try. if that's
Yeah,
if that doesn't work, then conversations can be had at that
yeah.
particular point on how we can move
Okay.
forward.
Yeah.
Yes. but
Yeah.
tumepitwa na hiyo wakati kidogo, tumepitwa na hiyo
Hiyo basi imetuacha.
yeah, basi
Eh,
imetuacha hapo.
eh,
We need to now come to
eh,
now, what's happening now.
yeah,
Yes,
sure. So it is not superstition per se,
it's
but
yeah,
hardly can you be able to confirm that it is or it is not this particular point because of that spiritual aspect of it.
yeah,
Is that
yeah,
what you're saying?
absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. So somebody from the village there, or
Yeah.
keep it, when they appear and you're looking at them, and eventually
Mm,
it does not kind of the whatever they're battling,
mm,
even after you were going through your books back and forth, and the struggles still seem to be there.
mm,
What do you advise them? You as advice maybe recommend for spiritual healing, cleansing.
mm.
What's the solution for this? Oh, that's now beyond redemption. And there's a ngoja tu siku yako bana.
Apana,
Mm.
there's usually a solution.
Yeah.
There's usually a solution.
Oh,
So I
okay.
think once you come up with like
Mm.
your diagnosis and your like
Mm.
your case formulation and how you're moving forward with this patient,
Mm.
there are certain techniques that we recommend to
Mhm.
see how this would help this patient come out of what they're going through. Okay,
Yeah, yes.
and we normally give it a try because at the end of the
Okay.
day,
Mm.
as I say, there's usually a
Mm.
solution. Okay,
Yes.
but I think one thing that
Mhm.
of course it gets to a point. It gets to a point where maybe you've tried, you've given it your all, and you're like things are not changing.
Mm.
But ask yourself why things are not changing. It could be because of so many things. It could be because
Mm.
maybe also back home the
Mm.
support is not there. All right.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
It could be that maybe this person has
Okay.
been struggling with an internal battle that they've been
Yeah.
fighting for years because of maybe a
Uh,
trauma they went through that they've not been able
during
to
childhood.
still talk about it. There's so
Yeah.
many things that could still play like
Uh,
a role in why a patient is not doing well.
okay.
Yeah. Sometimes we normally say, oh, maybe because it's the medication. And of course, the doctor will be like, okay, let's try
Uh,
different type of medication and let's see how
uh,
you respond. Which I think
uh,
it's usually one of the I think steps. But I
uh,
think also what we need to understand is can we explore this person's environment and see as much
uh,
as we're treating this human being,
uh,
is the treatment still like supported where
uh,
this person comes from, you get
yes.
it, or where they live? Because
Uh,
if that's not the case, then trust me,
uh,
this patient will not get better. Yeah,
yes.
maybe this patient is also struggling to just accept they have a mental health struggle and they're in
Yes.
denial, so which
Uh,
means it's affecting how they are
uh,
conforming
okay.
with the treatment. You get
Uh,
it?
yes.
It's affecting how they take their medications, it's
Uh-huh.
affecting how they take good care of themselves. So
Uh,
it's a lot of factors that comes into play.
uh.
Yeah.
So, how does financial wellness
Yeah.
also now contribute to mental unwellness
Mm,
in men? Or even though it will also be in both, but
absolutely.
today our conversation was mostly around the boy child.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Definitely. I'd mentioned earlier that financial wellness is part of the mental wellness wheel. Okay.
mm,
Which of course it's very crucial. Okay.
mhm,
Of course, as a man, there's a lot of
mm,
responsibilities on your
true,
plate.
true.
Okay, maybe you have kids,
Mm,
maybe you have multiple wives. Some of us are polygamous. Some of us we have like a lot of businesses to take care
wengine
of.
ni tamaa tu hata ama kuna ingine huku wengine huku na mfuko jakubali.
We have a lot on our plate. We have a
Bure
lot on our
kabisa.
plate. Yes, and sometimes it's too much for one person to take
Yes.
in.
Ah,
Yeah, and maybe you're just the only sole breadwinner and everyone
ah,
depends on you, so there's a lot of things that you have to take in, and you're not
mm,
allowed to even buy things for yourself because you're like, oh, I have kids, I have school fees, I
yeah.
have a loan to pay, I have a mortgage to pay.
Yeah.
So
So you abandon yourself for a while, maybe to caretaker
absolutely,
for this. Then the while becomes the norm.
that's true. That's
Yes.
true. And now you see, if you're not able now to
Uh-huh.
handle these finances well as a man, I think also you have to
Yes.
understand also how my financial management skills. Do I have the right
Okay.
skills to manage my finances?
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Sometimes as
Mm,
men, we just feel like we need to have control of our finances because
mhm,
we are the one making the money, or we are the one, with these businesses. But maybe also we can get help from our spouses or even our kids. Yes. Yeah, I think this is a conversation that we need also to be having. I feel,
I think that's what we're supposed to have that conversation.
yeah,
Because
because
getting help from these people.
I. But ask yourself why.
Ushakumbushwa kitu ya 1995.
Uh-huh.
Maybe you borrowed 100 shillings.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you find that you might have borrowed 100 shillings and you've borrowed 100 shillings from your spouse.
Yeah.
Then in the evening, when you came back, you gave her 1,000 shillings.
Yeah.
So she'll take the 1,000 shillings and still ask you for the 100 shillings. So I think the best thing to do is to come and give 100 shillings. Then now you tell her 900 and fresh it out.
But I think we have different relationship with money. All of us, we have different relationship with money, and I think it's good to also just soul search and introspect and ask yourself, how is my relationship with money? If you are the type of person to just feel like money is always, of course it will always sometimes solve the problem. I mean, some people will be like, okay, I've done this, and then they will just give money out because they feel like that will just clear the problem. But I think we have to understand that money is a conversation that is healthy to have with our partners, with our kids. At the end of the day,
Sure.
it's built on trust. Okay, so
Sure.
if you can be able to have these conversations with your family on how even to work on your finances together, I think you will thrive in finances because you're not dealing with all of this pressure by yourself. Okay, because I know maybe your kids are too young, they can't understand you have loans, and I feel at some point they will grow up and be like, okay, I think dad really struggled for quite some time, because he had school fees to pay, he had responsibility to handle,
Yes.
but also he had a loan to pay, and they would understand. But I think sometimes also as men, when you are making certain financial decisions, can we be a bit more, transparent with the people around us? Because if we make like very drastic decisions that affect us, at least there will be support. Okay, but now wewe umeenda ukachukua loan mahali and no one is aware of that.
Yeah.
Okay, and then people are looking for you. Some people even
Yeah.
they risk their lives because of money that they've taken from somewhere and they've not communicated that. Okay, and I think sometimes we just have to ask. We have to tell ourselves it's okay asking for help. It's okay that I'm suffering from financial management skills. It doesn't mean that you're not doing well as a man. It just means that you could get better. It
So
could
that money is
refine
not the
you.
measure of success.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah.
So
So it's a lot of conversations around. I mean, it's a very deep conversation.
I
of
think
course,
that's
at
a
some
very
point.
insightful conversation that I think we'll invite you next time. Then we can be able to
Yeah.
expand it
Yeah.
even more.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So with these finances, when your finances are not okay, it does it affect your masculinity at home now? Or let's say, for example, in this relationship, you're together with your spouse, everything is doing well, you're working, and now you're not working anymore. Your wife is working.
Yeah. I think
So how does that contribute to the mental health of the boy child now?
I think for most of us will be affected in terms of our self-esteem, okay? Because we feel like we're not able to do the things that we're supposed to do as men and the responsibilities that we have to meet as men. Of course, that you'll feel like, especially in situations also where your wife is probably earning more than you or has a better job than you. I feel like sometimes we don't talk about it, but it does affect,
I think
like,
for me,
certain relationships.
for me personally, if
Yeah.
only she's earning more than me, there's no problem. Me,
Yeah.
I'll just do my responsibilities at home.
Absolutely.
But the problem is that I'm not earning at when I'm not earning at all. That one is that's a different story now.
So of course, when the finances are not well, I mean, also psychologically, this person is not well. Okay, so that predisposes this person to having mental health struggles. Okay, it gets to this person now to a point where, okay, now I need to look for extra amount of money, or anaenda kwa kazi ya magendo kuangalia if he can, get something, or gambling now, which is becoming quite a rampant issue.
Yes, and I also wanted to talk through that gambling further.
Yeah, so it pushes this person to look for ways to, of course, sustain, their situation. Okay, but most of those approaches are not really healthy. Okay, and sometimes it now gets them to even having more problems, with them,
Okay.
with themselves, and also with the people around them.
Okay.
Yeah, so finances is actually a very vital aspect of our lives. Yeah, it
Okay.
makes us survive. I mean,
Uh-huh.
we it's not we get to experience all these things we want in life. We get to have, to access all the services we want because of money. Okay,
Yes.
and I think so
Yes.
many people wish that they can be in the right financial state, and they're not, because that also can just give them that kind of, those kind of overwhelming thoughts. Why am I not able to do well? This puts a
Yes.
lot of pressure on them, and of course that means that emotionally, psychologically, they'll not be stable, because they're trying to figure out life, and it's a lot. It's
So
really a
now
lot. Yeah.
let's say this just gambling and
Yeah.
betting more that
Yeah.
we just spoken about.
Yeah. Yeah.
As in, how do you think it contributes to mental and wellness still in men?
Okay.
Yes.
First and foremost, gambling addiction is a mental health disorder. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And we've dealt with patients with gambling addiction, and it's something that we feel like it's a behavioral thing that has been, I think it has been normalized out here also, just to bet. And I don't, absolutely, I'm not negating betting, all right?
Yeah.
Because probably for people, they just do it for fun, and that. But you see, the thing is, the more you do it, the more you do it, the more
Yes.
it becomes part of you. Okay, the
Yes.
more it becomes part of your routine. And when
Yes.
it becomes a part of your routine whereby you can't be able to survive without it, and you have to bet every single time, then it creates some sort of dysfunctionality in your life. Okay,
Yes.
so
Yes.
this is something that you depend on. If you don't bet, then there's a problem. Okay,
There
if
is a
you
problem.
lose, of course you'll be like, I need to win. It's like you're
Yeah.
stuck with the winning. Some people would lose even up to 1 million in a night,
Yes.
and they're like, you know what, I have to win regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it becomes, when it gets to that point, then that's a problem. That's a problem, because your behavior changes. Maybe you stop taking care of your family, you stop providing. Okay, your
Yes.
money goes to betting. Okay,
Yes.
when someone talks to you about betting, you become very aggressive, and
Yeah,
like
very
mbona
defensive and
unaningilia, you get it.
yeah,
So
shughulika na maisha
you
yako
become
boss.
very defensive about
Ah,
it. Yeah, it means
ah.
also that, kuna kaukweli hapo, labda una struggle. You get it.
Yeah, somebody just
Yeah.
trying to give you what assessment, whatever they're observing. They're seeing you
Absolutely.
from the outside.
Yes.
You hardly can see yourself. Even if you look at yourself in the mirror,
Yeah.
you hardly can you be able to see those patterns and behaviors.
Absolutely.
Somebody is trying to help you through.
Absolutely.
Ndio bana.
But also, what I'm trying to say also, it's not really a bad thing. It's just that some people feel like it's the easiest way out when it comes to finances, and that way, because maybe it has worked for them before. Okay, maybe they've ever gotten X amount of money, and it confirms to you that this thing works. Okay,
Yes.
but sometimes when you are engaged in a certain behavior, your mind gets like wired. Okay, so there's usually an expectation that you have. Okay, if you don't meet that expectation, it means that you become now, no, you become, you become angry. Okay, you become
Yes.
stressed. Why am I not achieving it? Okay, and that's why most people go back to it, because they feel like they still haven't met what, and sometimes it's not even them meeting what they expect. And it just stimulates them because of the dopamine effect. Okay, I
Yes.
want you to look at gambling as a, like drinking alcohol. It excites your dopamine, and it makes you feel good. Okay,
Yeah,
so
for the moment.
it's for the moment. Okay,
Yes.
yeah, and sometimes when it gets to a point where now you're used to that effect, and you can't survive without it, then it's very hard to break. Yeah,
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 so you
at
have
that
to be
particular
taken
point,
through
you're
a
like, you know what, now
therapeutic.
you need treatment, now you need management. Yeah.
Yeah. So apart from betting as an addiction,
Yeah.
also there is sexual addiction.
Yes.
Sexual addiction still contributes to mental disorder, or the mental disorder contributes to the other erectile dysfunctions and stuff like that. And maybe you can tell us because see,
Okay.
in men,
Okay.
now that we're discussing about men, you
Yeah.
understand
Yeah.
that
Yes.
cycle whereby
Yeah.
a misperformance somewhere breaks this man completely. Yeah.
Absolutely. The thing is, mental health struggles predisposes this person to mental health disorders. Okay, so erectile dysfunction and sexual disorders, those are mental health disorders. Okay.
Yes.
So there has to be a root cause. There has to be a genesis of this problem. Okay. So because I understand that erectile dysfunction is sometimes it's not throughout this person's life. Maybe it's genetic, right? But in most cases, it's usually it comes, at a point in your life, and it is usually a contribution to that. It's either your environment, okay, there's a stressor, or there's a internal struggle that you're going through. So there has to be a struggle or a challenge that it's affecting how your mind works. Okay, for you even to enjoy that sexual experience you have with your spouse as a man, always factor in the fact that there's usually a pleasure that you're looking for. And where does that pleasure comes from? It comes from the chemicals that are being produced in your brain. Okay. So those positive chemicals, okay, the oxytocin, the endorphins, the dopamine. So if those are not produced, which can be contributed by so many things, it could be because you're thinking a lot of the things that maybe some issues you're dealing with. Maybe there's that loan that is stressing you. Maybe there is that school fees that you haven't paid. Maybe there is that work issue that you're struggling with. Okay, maybe there is a personal struggle that you've gone through as a child and you've not been able to come to terms with, and then that affects how you function. So even when you're performing, you are not doing what I'm not saying you're not doing what you're supposed to do as a man, but you're not at your optimum.
You're not fully engaged there, as in
your mind is not present.
Okay, so you're just present in the physical and now.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And this has to be present for you to even enjoy, that sexual experience. Yeah. So most of the sexual dysfunctions or sexual disorders, usually we normally assess, what are the stress levels this person could be going through. Okay. And of course, we usually, as much as they will do all these hormonal tests to see how are these chemicals in your brain, stuff like that, your testosterone levels, those are part of the treatment, yes. But I think the most important thing is asking yourself what could be causing this person to be in this particular state. Okay. It could be an event, it could be an experience. Okay. Also, it could be an accident they went through, or trauma, physical trauma. Maybe alianguka then that part was affected. You get it? Yeah. Yeah. So there's so many things that could be as a result of that. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's but yes, it emanates from mental health struggles, most of them. Yes.
Okay, majority of them are normally cured through psychological programs and some of the things that you do on your end.
Yeah, I'm not really cured, but probably managed. So maybe it can be addressed, and then they see, okay, what can we, work on?
So it's not normally not cured. The moment you have it, there is no a total maybe a curative measure.
The thing is, mental health issues usually gets triggered because of experiences. So you having depression today and you going through treatment, it clears the depression because you've gone through the symptoms goes away. But it doesn't mean that you might not experience depression again. Okay? You look at a lot of factors, especially genetic predisposition. Look at your family tree. And I normally tell people, ask your family, who in the family ever had a mental health struggle? It doesn't matter whether it was kuchizi, a depression, an alcohol problem. If there is at least one case of a mental health struggle, genetically, you're predisposed to it.
Okay.
Yeah, you're predisposed to having a mental health disorder. So what does that mean? It means that now you should open up your eyes on how to take good care of yourself. Yeah, you could get anxiety, you could get depression, you could get substance use, because based on the experiences you might go through in the future or currently in your life, but that predisposes you to mental health struggles, mental health disorders. Yeah. So these conditions, some of them are chronic, like schizophrenia, ADHD, anxiety. Some anxiety cases are quite chronic, so which means this person have gone through it for a long period of time, and they will need treatment for a longer period of time. Okay, for them to get to a point where they can be at least functional. Yeah, but as I've told you before, all of these mental health disorders can be managed. Yes. So we look at the
Okay.
management
Oh,
more.
okay.
Yeah, we're not saying, oh, this person is cured. Okay, then we stop the treatment. I mean, that's
Okay,
why we
okay.
normally look at we
Yes,
we sensitize after
it's a
care.
work in progress always.
It's a work in progress. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I just before we leave that,
Yeah.
I just want you to help us through hypersexuality as a form of trauma response in men.
Mm. Okay.
Uh,
Hypersexuality as a form of trauma response. I mean, there's that one way to
mm,
look at it from that angle.
yes.
Okay. But also, I look at sometimes hypersexuality as a symptom of a mental health disorder. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And most commonly, bipolar mood disorder. Yes.
Okay.
Which, of course, there's two aspects of bipolar. There's bipolar 1 and bipolar 2. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So bipolar 1 is where the person goes through like a manic episode. All right. There is depressive episodes, yes, but what is more prominent is the mania. Okay, the mania, it means that they're very reckless in making decisions, impulsive in making financial choices, and they're also quite hypersexual. Okay, so they can sleep with up to even 10 women, in a span of 1 week. Okay,
Yes.
they spend a lot of money. You'll find this
Yes.
person has spent 1 million in three
Yes.
days or 4 days, and it's because at that particular point their brain is really producing a lot of dopamine. Okay, so they become very impulsive and they cannot control their impulses. Okay,
Okay.
yeah, so that's where sometimes hypersexuality also comes as a result. Okay,
Okay.
hypersexuality, of course, I've explained it as part of a mental health disorder, which is most cases it's as a symptom of bipolar. Um, it as you said, it could be a trauma response, which I think it's true for some cases. Okay, um, but also that should ask you, what has this person gone through? Okay, in the past, that has made them to be that. Sometimes
Yeah.
hypersexuality, it could be that the brain is producing a lot of dopamine, but sometimes it's you're trying to prove a point, and when it comes to you proving a
Okay. Yeah.
point,
Uh-huh.
then there's a demon that you're fighting. You get it? Yeah, there's a demon.
Okay.
There's something you've gone through, and when you're able to bag all these women,
Uh,
yeah, and it means you feel like it's addressing something. It makes you feel better.
trying to conquer or something.
You're trying to conquer something.
Uh,
Yeah, so it could be part of your personality. Okay,
uh-huh.
but of course, when it causes any sort of dysfunctionality in any kind of way, we normally assess it and see, could they have a sexual disorder? Okay, could
Okay.
they be struggling with just controlling the sexual impulses? Okay, and if so, can they be put on management plan, and just how they can work around it? Yeah. So there's usually a detour. So there's no like specific reasons as to why people go through. It could be so many things. Okay, that's why I normally say, when someone comes to you with an issue and then you're like, oh, I think you have a good job, you're being paid well, you have a good family, why are you not happy with yourself? Sometimes it's not about those things that you think about. It could be other hidden, experiences this person has gone through and is subconsciously causing them to feel the way they're feeling. So we always have to be open minded to listen. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Or they might be having a good job and everything, but you're still not happy. As
yeah,
in,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. There's always a reason. There's
Uh,
always a reason.
okay. So I also wish you to
Mm,
tell us about this ADHD thing.
yeah.
Nowadays, I think it's kind of it's a statement among
So many people.
so many people.
Yeah,
There's common words like ADHD,
yeah.
narcissist. So unakosana na mtu kidogo anambia huyo ni narcissist, yule mwingine anakosa kufanya kazi yake kidogo, anasema mimi niko na ADHD.
Yeah.
So tell us about what are these words?
Okay. ADHD, we call it attention deficit hyperactivity disorder.
Yeah.
And it's a disorder. It's a disorder that develops from childhood. Okay.
Okay.
And some people might not really fully uh, um, um, uh, express those symptoms or manifest those symptoms when they're younger, but when they get to a certain stage, those symptoms become a bit more evident. Okay. ADHD, as I've said, is attention deficit. So it means that your brain is struggling to produce dopamine. Okay. So what that means is that you lack internal stimulation. Okay. So what you do is you seek external stimulation from activities and things and people and conversations. All right. And that's why you'll find most people with ADHD, they either have addictive tendencies. It puts them at a higher risk of having addictive behavior because there's an external stimulation they're looking for. Okay. There's, and that's why they're not able to, manage those impulses. But ADHD has three types. Okay. There is inattentiveness, which is basically not able to focus well, not able to finish tasks, being easily distracted. There's the aspect of procrastination, hyperfocusing. Some people will do one thing for too long. Okay.
Yeah.
They will do it even for 3 hours, and then you're like, okay, they've completely just blocked what's happening around them. Okay.
Yeah.
Some people do struggle when they're reading something. They will go through it over and over again just to grasp that concept, whatever they're trying to read.
Yes.
Of course, it does affect the memory. So others will read something and then they'll forget. Okay, that's I read it, or probably they just forget the exact content that they were reading. And then also there is the aspect of zoning out in conversation. So you could have a conversation with someone,
sure.
and then they just zone out. Okay?
Yeah.
They are, so basically inattention, meaning that they're not able to sustain focus. So which means it's affecting how they're functioning, it's affecting how they're completing tasks, and there has to be some level of consistency also in how they are, how those symptoms are exhibiting themselves. I mean, it has to cause some sort of dysfunctionality. So is it affecting this person's work? Are they not able to finish homeworks in school? Are they getting a lot of issues with the teacher, with authority, that they're not able to finish tasks? You get it? So there has to be some level of dysfunctionality that these symptoms are causing in this person's life. And then there is hyperactivity. Hyperactivity is basically having a high brain activity. So which means doing a lot of things all at once, being hyperactive, you're talking a lot, cutting people short, making very drastic decisions, moving from one point to the other, moving from one decision to the other. You're making very drastic, work decisions or financial decisions. You get it? So this Nile, it's like being moved by a
Impulsive,
motor.
as in.
Yes.
Okay.
Being moved by a motor system.
Yeah.
And I mean, most cases when you find someone who has hyperactivity, they usually have also impulsivity. Okay. So because they're hyper, they become impulsive. Okay. In doing things, they're not able to control themselves. They're not able to look at the consequences of their action or what their decisions could lead them to. Okay. So ADHD is a mental health disorder. It's not just not able to function or not able to finish tasks. I mean, you have also to go through an assessment just to show what levels you could have. So you could have just inattentive type or a combined type of inattentiveness, hyperactivity, and impulsivity.
Yes.
Narcissistic personality disorder. It's a disorder. I mean, narcissism has been used a lot out here, but I think what people normally mean by narcissistic men is they feel like these men are controlling, or these men are manipulative, or these men are not emotionally present, which I think when you look at the textbook definition of narcissistic personality disorder, it kind of fits there, but there's more to narcissistic personality disorder. Okay? Then, I mean, it's first and foremost, it's first you need to be assessed for it. So I can't tell you have narcissistic personality disorder just because you're manipulative, or just because you have emotional issues, just because you're controlling. Absolutely not. It could just be your own personality. I mean, that's just who you are.
You just like filling your space.
Absolutely. But there is most personality disorders usually is rooted from how this person has been brought up growing up. Okay, so most people with narcissistic personality disorders growing up, they struggled a lot with self-esteem, struggled with getting the love and affection that they needed. They struggled, probably they were mistreated growing up. So you kind of grow up with this rage, right? Or for some of them, they'd be like, you know what, once
Yes.
I'm able to get to a point where I can be able to have control, which in most cases, people will have money and you'll be like, you know what, I can be able to do whatever I can. So when they get to a certain status, or in a certain level where they feel like they can have control over the environment, I mean, that's what they do. They want to control it. Okay.
Yes.
But it's usually sometimes a trauma response. Yeah. That, okay, I missed this growing up and now I have it. I will do it. Yes. And I will achieve whatever I want to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which might be a positive thing.
It may be a positive, but ask yourself, how is it impacting your environment also? Is it affecting people?
Okay, so you might end up being so ruthless as
Absolutely,
well. So
yeah.
rough.
You might be very, very evil to the people around you. Yeah. Sometimes we also have to understand that the trauma that we've gone through, it doesn't give us the liberty to act like us in a certain way towards certain people. I feel like we have the responsibility also to work on ourselves and see, okay, this is what I went through growing up. Can I address it? Can I be able to seek professional help? Because you're seeing that it's affecting your relationships, you're seeing that it's affecting how you're managing your finances, it's affecting how you're creating friendships with people, it's affecting your life in general. So also you need to come to terms with it, that I think I'm struggling and I need it and I need help. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at that particular point whereby you've realized that this is actually what I'm going through,
Yeah.
and you've sought help, now that trajectory is where you'd want any man to always find themselves at any given moment.
Absolutely. Just coming to terms with the fact that I am a human being.
I'm a human being and I'm normal, and this is normal of what I'm going
Absolutely,
through.
it's normal.
Yeah.
It's not abnormal to have mental health
And
struggles.
there is a solution for it.
There's definitely a solution.
Okay, so I think that will be a very, very comfortable place to end it.
Yeah.
But as we finalize this, I just wish you to take the camera here and advise men.
Yeah.
Today we're just talking men.
Yes.
So just advise men and let them know that this is a problem that can be solved.
Okay. So I think as men, I feel like we just need to first humanize ourselves, and we are human beings with emotions and feelings, and we have to give ourselves grace. And it's okay to struggle, it's okay to have all these issues. But also I want you to know that there is a space for you out there, that you can be understood and be helped, and just for you can get direction. So seek opportunities to just go out there and seek professional help, give it a try. Maybe that's the point of you working on, that should be like a beginning of you working on yourself and just being a better version of yourself. So you are worthy, and you can hack it, but you can't handle all these issues by yourself. And you know it.
True.
Okay, so give yourself a chance to let it out a bit. Let it out, and I think it gets better with time. Yes.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Daktari.
Thank you.
And it has been an honor.
Thank
I
you.
believe that actually this will go a long way in helping the boy
Abs-
child in the community.
Absolutely. I am
Yes.
hoping that it does.
It will.
Yeah. And thank you for inviting me. I'm really honored to be part of this
Yes.
initiative. And looking forward to having more conversations with you. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll be able to invite you over and again.
Yeah.
Because our community needs a lot of you.
Yeah.
And I wish we were able to multiply you more.
It starts from this. There's
Absolutely.
usually something, someone out there watching. So that person will be inspired to spread that information to someone else.
Absolutely.
And it becomes like it's a ripple effect. Yes. So thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's a comfortable place to leave our conversation. As I promised you, I delivered the best guest, and as you heard from him, for sure, he is one amongst those excellent people who are the best in whatever they do. And as a therapist, I know of people that he has been able to treat successfully. And you out there who is suffering from mental health and mental unwellness, it is not too far. It is not, it is something that you can be able to get help. So it has been a great moment. Allow me see you on the next one.